photographers can assume they're locked in loaded positions. Not, well, right there? Okay, great. Sure, do that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Bookworm and to our very first How China Works live event. Give yourselves a round of applause. My name is Brendan Davis, and
my name is Ying Li. We are your co-host. We are your host.
Exactly. And in case you're not familiar with us, I have some notes to help me remember sometimes. How China Works is designed to do two things: to help foreigners become China smart, and to help Chinese people who are trying to go global to better understand the strange people they meet when they do that. Now, season 1 of our show was a crash course in China. If you haven't heard it, who's heard it? Who's heard the show? Let's get a little hands. Okay, it's respectable. Good. We have room to grow. We have room to grow this audience. The crash course in China spent 8 weeks where we did daily shows. So it was 40 shows in total, where we talked about all these different aspects of how East and West can better understand each other and better cooperate, which is part of the life's work of this lovely lady we will introduce in just a moment. We covered everything from Chinese business dinners to dealing with official meetings to work situations, social life, dating, understanding youth culture, things like that. For instance, we talked about how Mianzi and Guanxi are part of traditional Chinese culture, but we also talked about what that means in practice so that people could best cooperate across borders. Now, throughout all of this, our goal has been to increase mutual respect and understanding. And in the words of my co-host here, her favorite phrase:
building bridges, not walls. And we are in the middle of our season 2 right now, where we invite wonderful cross-cultural thought leaders. They're coming from around the world, different countries, multicultural community, to talk about their understanding about China. But they are also equipped with fabulous diversity thinking, cultural intelligence, and East and West approaches. Like tonight, we're going to present a wonderful one here for all of you. And that's one of the directions, but equally importantly, we have a second direction when we interview Chinese global voice. Because for decades, when China opened up, right, we have a lot of students, Chinese people going global, and there's a lot of stories in and outside of China need to be heard. We truly want to bring this understanding. So we also want people around the world to hear Chinese tell their intimate stories, their engagement with the world, especially from millennials' perspective. So we also have that particular focus. One of the examples we bring here, we want to share a little bit more about our season 2, because right now we have over 30 episodes recorded. Our goal is to find the best cross-cultural bridges in the world and how to bring the understanding. Because of every cross-cultural bridges here in the world, in today, like 2019, in such a vocal world, like VUCA, uncertain world, we really need those people who can focus on bringing understanding. So we have a wonderful guest here today, Ms. Fu Han. And later we have a podcast with her. And most importantly, we're really, really grateful that we have the chance to invite Ms. Isabel Crook, who actually is 104 years old, and born in China's Sichuan province, spent 100 years in China, and she and her husband were the early founders, actually, for the Beijing Foreign Studies University, Beijing 外语言大学. So, and cultivating a lot of early diplomats, English speaker diplomats from China. So let's give a huge applause to her. Maybe something for us?
She said, "Thank you very much." Oh, thank you very much. I'll say that again.
Thank you. It's just because someone like Isabel and Fu Han, and we could have this moment.
Thank you so much for joining us. So the program is as follows. we're doing this little introduction now, and we wanted to recognize Isabel right away. She's seen this film a lot, so she may not watch the whole film. But we're going to run the film for you. It's about 24 minutes, and it's really, really great. Has anybody seen the film yet? Has anyone seen the film online besides Mark's seen it? Oh, a few people. You are seriously in for a treat. That was the beginning of this entire event tonight, was to bring this film here to the Bookworm. Next up is that we will interview Fuhan, as Ying just said. And we will do that for the majority of our show. We're recording all this, as you can tell, audio and video, and we're going to cut out the mistakes, and my mistakes mostly, and we'll make this look and sound great. And then this will be a podcast and a video cast. This will be live at the end of the week. And we will have QR codes up later so you can find and track this, and you can find out how to see this. And towards the end of Fuhan's interview, we will bring up her musical friend and collaborator, Mr. Mark Levine, who is also in the audience. We will talk with Mark a bit. Mark was our guest on last week's How China Works. There is an hour and a half of us having a great time talking to Mark. So if you're new to the show, you can check this out here tonight. You can enjoy Mark's interview, and then this will be up by the end of the week. But unless Singing has anything, I think we're going to play the film for you and maybe kill the music.
One last thing. This is a very precious moment for every single of us, especially, and we are here to witness something maybe we couldn't see very often in our life. I really want everyone to enjoy tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I will get a little help to play the movie. And everyone, please enjoy.
上路悠悠。
That was 100 years ago. Yes, it's a lovely picture. They were both foreign students. They weren't married. They were just young, real new arriving missionaries, and they were sent to this school for these. There must have been about 8 of them, and they're studying. They're sent up to Bailudin to do their language study.
2 young Canadians working so hard on their Chinese language study could never have dreamed they would bring forth a young anthropologist, Isabel Crook, who would make studies of China. Yet 100 years later, their daughter can still recall her days in Bailuding. Isabel Crook, whose life has spanned over a century, anthropologist and author of studies on China, has lived a remarkable life, matching her amazing age. Late in the Qing dynasty, groups of Canadian missionaries boarded ships in Vancouver bound for Shanghai, where they travelled by boat up the Yangtze into Sichuan. In 1912, Isabel's father, Homer Brown, arrived in Chengdu, where he eventually became Dean of Education at West China Union University.
So he's a farm boy. He was brought up on a farm. He's a good farmer. Very be very proud of being in the countryside.
Inheriting this family trait, Isabel held no fear for the hardships of rural life, joyfully spending long stints in Chinese villages to do research. Isabel's mother, Muriel Hockey, like her father, Homer Brown, graduated from Victoria College in Toronto. After her marriage, she founded the first Montessori kindergarten in China, now the Golden Fruit Kindergarten, and served on the boards of the Chengdu Deaf, Blind and Dumb School, now the Chengdu Special School, as well as the Chengdu Canadian School. In 1915, Muriel Brown founded the Dewey School, now the Hongjuan Shilu Primary School. That same year, Isabel was born in a house across the road from the Shengse Church. Her parents gave her a Chinese name, Rao Shu Mei, meaning kindly plum blossom, and indeed she was kindly and bold as the plum blossom.
She was. She was a remarkable woman. And she had the worst conditions under which to do it.
Muriel, who had set up schools and devoted herself to education, wished her daughter Isabel to continue this work and arranged for her to study child psychology back in Canada.
I was interested in anthropology.
For her master's degree, Isabel chose anthropology. On graduation at the age of 23, this smart young lady returned to China and decided to make a study of the Yi people in Sichuan's Hanyuan County.
Yes, they're very, very supportive because they think if I want to be an anthropologist, that's a worthwhile thing to be. I mean, to understand society and how you develop society. Yes, they were very supportive. I'm very lucky.
Later, Isabel hiked up the Min River Valley to make a study in the Jiarong Tibetan areas of Lixian.
How did certainly the national minorities in China, how do they live? What are their houses like? So I just arranged to go and live in a farmhouse that was empty. And the owner of it organized his aunt to live with me. So the two of us lived in his house, his empty house. And you know, going across those rivers was very interesting because you could swing. There's a swing. Just swing across and you drop yourself quickly on that side because it's going to swing back.
The ways of Shu are hard, harder than scaling the heavens. A young miss born in a large city to a Western missionary family, how was it she had the courage to hike in the wild hills, to brave the swift waters, to cross torrential rivers on a sliding cable?
This is my Bailuding.
We started going to Beijing when we were very small.
Every summer, Isabel's family would make a 2 to 3 day journey to Bailuding on foot.
Bailuding was a very lovely place. It was a lovely place, Bailuding. Oh, because it's cool. And it's beautiful. And they fix it up. I mean, they have tennis courts and whatnot. So some people just go there and play tennis, and others go there, but they go climbing in the mountains around. And we were those that climbed in the mountains.
When little Isabel's gaze peered beyond the clouds and forests and wild blossoms and saw the low-thatched houses, the coolie carriers, the boatmen towing the boats up the rivers, it made her want to understand the mystery of how Chinese society was structured. In 1940, 25-year-old Isabel and 26-year-old Yu Shiji, two young beauties, one Chinese, one foreign, with sticks to beat off the dogs, went from house to survey the 1,500 households in the village of Prosperity in Sichuan's Bishan County. 73 years later, in 2013, the seminal work, Prosperity's Predicament, Identity, Reform and Resistance in Rural Wartime China, the first socio-anthropological work to be co-authored by a Chinese and a Western woman, was published. This work revealed in great detail everyday life in the hinterland of China during the Japanese War. It well deserves to be required reading for the Republican period on the rural reconstruction movement. She recalls how at night time in Prosperity there were always little specks of light. These were from carriers lighting up their opium pipes in the inns. For them, food was secondary to having their opium. While clearly against opium, Isabel didn't rush to accuse these hard-working carriers. They all smoked opium. They simply could not carry on without it. Isabel explains in her book, those peasants who had lost their land and become carriers sought relief from opium. It cured them of dysentery and gave them hope of more strength. Objective in her observations, Isabel was filled with sympathy for the common people. Where did this insight come from? On their way to Bailuding, little Isabel liked to engage the locals in conversation. Her grandmother, helping their cook's family go to school, sowed a seed of compassion in her heart. In 1942, Isabel married David Crook, who joined the British RAF. Later, she joined in the anti-fascist struggle by enlisting in the Canadian Army.
But I'm very lucky because David really, he doesn't see any difference between men and women. That it's just about what they're able to do and what they want to do and what their emotions are. You know, he just takes them as they are, I think that's one of his best, well, I shouldn't say best, it's one of his very good qualities.
After demobilization in 1946, Isabel embarked on a PhD in anthropology at LSE under Professor Raymond Firth. In 1947, Isabel and David sailed the oceans, crossing the blockade to enter China's liberated areas, ending up in the village of 10 Mile Inn, deep in the Taihang Mountains of South Hebei. There they made a detailed study of the entire land reform process. She reported her findings to Professor Firth, working on her PhD. Who was to foresee that passing these materials would lead to her wrongful detention for 3 years during the Cultural Revolution?
Of course, that was a very romantic, revolutionary time at that time. So everything was beautiful, you know, people were enthusiastic. And yes. So that's why so much was accomplished. Everybody was inspired. It's an inspiring thing, you know. I think you can do when you're inspired by the support you're given by the local people. You know, it gives you a lot of energy.
They used not only their pens and typewriters, but their cameras, making detailed and complete records. 10 Mile Inn, Revolution in a Chinese Village, was published in London, and 20 years later, Mass Movement in a Chinese Village was published in New York. These two valuable works helped people in the West to learn the truth about China's land reform.
Yes, well, we were working together. I mean, the work was done by both of us.
Isabel and David not only wrote together, they also taught side by side. After their land reform study, they were invited by the CPC to stay and teach. Working together on the first English textbook in the new China, they helped train diplomats and English teachers, devoting themselves to the cause of education in China. After teaching, Isabel maintained her interest in rural development. Isabel and David paid 2 more visits to 10 Mile Inn in 1959 and 1961. Leading to the book First Years of Yangyi Commune, published in England in 1966. This was designated as required reading by many social anthropologists in Britain. From 2011 to 2015, aged between 96 and 100, Isabel carefully examined thousands of photos taken by David. For the text for the book, China Through the Lens of David Crook, 1938 to 1948. Analysis of her notes and studies gives her belief that rural and urban development should be balanced, like yin and yang. Having lived through China's 20th century changes, the warlord period, the Japanese War, the War of Liberation, socialist construction and reform and opening, the memory of Bailuding has accompanied Isabel through her rich and varied life, from where her dreams began.
I mean, these mountains are, it takes quite a time to climb up. And you have to go down each day to buy your milk and whatnot.
The legendary life of this 103-year-old Western anthropologist is itself a valuable record of China. Just as she nurtured the flowers in her garden each evening in Bailuding, Isabel Crook has nurtured those dreams her entire life.
Yes, I thought it was valuable, and I'm very proud that I did that, because, you know, if you don't do it, it might easily be completely lost. You've got to have some records. Yeah.
Isabel Brown was Canadian. She was born long ago in Sichuan. 25 years later, she met David Cook in China, and later they were wed in London. Together they both worked as teachers, aided the struggle in many ways, as peasants and workers fought for their lives on the road to build a new day. They joined with their Chinese comrades on the road that was often not straight, unwavering as it got rocky, with commitment that was innate. Isabel Brown was Canadian. She was born long ago in Sichuan. 25 years later, she met David Cook in China. Later, they were wed in London. Together, they both worked as teachers, aiding the struggle in many ways, as peasants and workers fought for their lives on the road to build a new day. On the road to build a new day. On the road to build a new day. On the road to build a new day.
Big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. We are honored that Isabel wants to stay with us here. Don't forget, after we have our podcast, we will be doing some mixing and mingling and some beverages, drinking here courtesy, well, not courtesy, but here at the Bookworm. So let's not get carried away. But yeah, please. David might have some issues with that. So, if she is ready, without further ado, Amy, would you like to tell everyone about our special guest for the interview tonight?
Our special guest, our great cross-cultural leader tonight, is Miss Fu Han, who is a wonderful Chinese businesswoman, musician, and now a filmmaker. We're very honored to have her today to share with us a little bit more about this documentary, like what are the stories behind it, and how she overcame all kinds of challenges to make this, and what does it mean to people right now who actually want to do her job, do her work. Without further ado,
please welcome Fu Han. Come on up and join us. let you fight your way in here. Come on in.
Thank you, everyone. It's actually feel like Hollywood. Katie, I want to, my dream want to be a Hollywood actress, but now I become a filmmaker, and all of that I should thank Isabel Crook. I'd like to thank you very much for your introduction and for your support for the work that we've done in the mountain. Thanks, Grandma. The beautiful actresses. Well, every time I watch this movie, my own movie, which is Isabel's story, I got tears in my eyes. I'm sure you guys moved by that movie, by Isabel's wonderful story, and she recorded China for her entire life, amazing age. And thank you everyone to be here tonight with us.
Join us over here, and we will kick off the part where you have to look at us now. All right. So to get started with, and Ian, could you hand her one of the mics, please? Thank you very much. To get started, and the way we do this, if you have not, most of you have not heard the show, is we sort of alternate our questions, and we have actually, of course, prepared a lot of questions, but we're mostly going to let the conversation goes where it leads us. And I'm going to get you a tissue. Oh, wow. This is the first time someone's cried at the beginning of the interview. Normally that's later. normally that's much later. But we would like to start, and you started by talking a bit about, of course, this wonderful documentary. And this is your first film. And again, I'm a film producer, is what I do for a living. I make films. I've made several documentaries and stuff. And I was so impressed when I saw this. You all see that she did a really great job, right? We're not just being nice to a guest. She did a fantastic job. What motivated you? Of course, your friendship. And then how did you begin to prepare to make a documentary? You've never done that. How did you get your head around this?
Well, I think all about love. Yeah, I never did any documentary before. It's my first documentary. And when I got back from the United States for my business trip, Isabel fell. And I think I have to do something. And the friendship, we have more than 10 years friendship. And I always visit Isabel, and she's just so kind and treat me so nice. You know, I'm a 北漂. 北漂means I think most of us are 北漂. 北漂means not Beijing, not born in Beijing. Okay, we have maybe a difficult life in here. But Isabel always care about other people, and she always. And tonight, many of Isabel's friends, we have old friends here.
If you would like to introduce, and people can sort of raise their hand or stand as they wish.
Aladin, Gregor from Australia. Austria, sorry. And
her, did you mention her IE is right here?
Yes, and阿姨 Suzhen here. You know, Suzhen been working for Isabel for her entire life.
您是什么时候在奶奶家工作的？94年 1994.
Wow. Okay.
Start to work for Isabel. Okay. And this is really like a family, you know. Mm-hmm. And when I talk to Suzhen 阿姨, she talk about, you know, every time I got home for Spring Festival, because Spring Festival is so important for Chinese people. So she went back for Spring Festival. She said, I miss grandma. I miss her. I said, I have the same feeling. I said, every time, I'm a businesswoman. I have trips, business trip all over. So every time I went out, I miss Isabel. I think Isabel in Beijing is like my home in Beijing. Yeah. So probably, don't understand the feeling, but I think all the old friends here, they know how Isabel cares about other people. Right, Pamela? And every time we went out for dinner, Isabel just paid.
Wow.
We should pay.
Those are the best friends, aren't they? Just saying, I'm available. I've been known to. I'll treat too. Sometimes.
Yeah, and because Isabel gave her card for.
Do you have the number? I can write it down. I wouldn't do that to you.
So every time they just use Isabel's cards. I talked to Isabel and I said, 你这么老了还啃老啊 You're too old to. He said, 就是要吃老妈的 Yeah. Yes.
You speak Chinese very well.
So Isabel's love to me, I think I have to do something. I really need to do something. Either I never done that before. Okay. I remember I had no camera and I have no recorder. So I borrowed a recorder from Mark. I borrowed a camera from another friend. I went to Isabel's home and interviewed her every day.
And it's not easy. The first day.
Yeah, it's hard to make a bad movie. It's really hard to make a good movie.
Well, I think because Isabel's story is such an amazing story, let's make the movie. So it's not just me, it's Isabel, really. Yeah.
So what was the hard moment when you were trying to accomplish this task? I mean, how long did it take for you to make this documentary completed?
In Chinese word, we call it 抢救性拍摄. Yeah.
What is that in non-Chinese? A long time.
It's really urgent to film.
Understood.
Yeah.
What was your filming period? Like, when did you start? When did you feel like you had completed it?
I just, after that, when I come back, and I just started right away. And I filmed Isabel about 1.5 months every day. And it's not, her emotion is upside down. So maybe you can't get words for many days. But after that, I put the script, I put all the Isabel words she said, and I put it in the paper, I type it in, and I hand it to her son, and he said, wow, those words she never told me before.
Nice, okay. Well, some people don't know. Who is familiar with how documentary is made, or reality TV, which is sort of a similar cousin of documentaries? They're, it's real people and typically real situations, but a lot of times you have to help people be themselves. It's hard to get people to get over the idea of, oh, you're shooting me now. So it can be very tricky. So you can sort of help. And even you saw it in our introduction. I know what I'm going to say, but I have notes to sort of like jog my memory, right? We have bullet points. So did you find that made it go smoothly once you sort of helped her with, okay, let's talk about this, and then you talk about that, okay, then let's talk about this, and then you talk about, did you do it in kind of pieces like that? That's how I often have done it.
The interesting thing, the first day I filmed her, and she walked away from me.
Had you had enough already? One day and you're out?
I was, so then I get together my camera on my stand. Then I went home. Then the second day, she said, I need to take some pills. Then when Ayi gave her pills and to calm down, and her son came in, and he said, wow, 为什么喂奶奶吃药呢? Why you give pills to grandma? So I was the good thing because this family trusts me. Yeah. So you really can't just a TV station or other people come to film her. Then when I continue going there every day, and Grandma Isabel realized that we are working together. Yeah. And she said, "You are the person never gave up."
That's what it takes.
Yeah,
That's what it
You're the
takes.
person, when you're working, you never give up. I said, "That's right, Grandma." And
Other stories that in this 24 minutes documentary that you like to share with our audience today, like any other kind of stories
yes,
about
of
background?
course. Yeah, many things. Because it's a film, actually I use some film language. Probably you don't. I want to show some. One is there is a tree, the yellow tree. I use that to represent David. Why? David is Isabel's husband, and after David died, he gave the body to the hospital. Yeah, so they don't really have a grave. Okay, so Isabel planted that tree, and that tree growing.
That tree in the film specifically,
Yes.
because that's a
Yes.
tree.
Yes.
Wow. That's
And
pretty cool.
every night, every day, I walk with Isabel down to have a walk, and Isabel said, "Let's go to a garden. That's secret garden." That's really their love story, and when you see the movie, you can tell how much Isabel loved David. I never met David, but I think he's a great man. Yeah.
The spirit lives on.
And
through
he
the tree.
deserves Grandma's love. Yes.
You did an excellent job with this, and again, you mentioned you filmed, you met, and you filmed for every day for a month and a half. That's probably a lot of material, and then you cut it down to a short film. Do you have enough material that you could cut like a TV series out of this, or could you cut like a longer documentary if you had enough time and patience to do that?
I want to actually. I want to make this as the childhood, because it's about a childhood. Maybe this is the first one. The second one probably I'll go to Lixian or Haiyuan to film her. The anthropology research place. Yeah, and another thing, the jade. The jade is Isabel's jade, and. Before I went to the Bailuding, the mountain, to film that, I went to Isabel. I went to Grandma. I said, "Grandma, tomorrow morning I'm going to Bailuding," and she said, "Well, will you take me?" So this is a dream. So but I was shocked because. In this age, it's really, and I don't think her sons agree with that. So
It's kind of a last minute trip. I mean, if you've been talking about it and planning it.
So
might
I
not have been a
borrowed
shock.
the jade from Grandma, to represent she was there.
Oh, okay.
And another thing about the jade is very special in China, and Isabel is an anthropologist, and. I want to show her idea, what her thought. So she thinks she always taught me about, she went to rural China to do research, anthropology research. So she has the thoughts and ideas. She said, rural China and the city should be like a taiji, in balance. Yeah, that's how the China now. You can tell in Beijing, in the big cities, Chinese people make cities very fast. Maybe over one night there is a bridge. It's true. It's changing every day. But in rural China, some countryside, now we have empty villages, 空心村. Okay, so how to make rural China and the city in balance. And Isabel recorded the rural China for her entire life. She went to, she's a Miss, a 小姐 in the city in Chengdu. She grew up there. And, I went to Sichuan. I climbed the mountain. I was thinking, how did she do that? I mean, that's really tall,
It looks, I'm not going up myself. I'll send a drone.
Yeah. So I need to use the film to show people Isabel's idea, what her thought. Yeah.
Right. During the preparation of this documentary, I saw a lot of Chinese culture elements, including the jade culture. I'm sure that Isabel has a lot of appreciation for certain elements in the rural area. So did she tell you during this preparation, during this process of filmmaking, that anything that he liked about rural China?
Oh, she loves mountains. She loves mountains in China, and she told me why she has such a long life, because she always climb mountains.
Good strategy.
And so many people ask, wow, because Isabel on my WeChat, she become a 网红, because I be with her all the time, at least once a week. So I send a WeChat, and all the people ask, wow, how come she has such a long life? And what did she eat? What does her?
What do you eat? What do you like to eat, Isabel?
What's her food?
What do you like to eat?
I beg your pardon?
Oh, what foods do you like to eat to be so healthy?
I've enjoyed this very much because you praise me.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but we're admiring of your long. I need to take some notes, obviously. And speak.
Isabel, Grandma likes to have ice cream.
Ooh, we get along better than you think in this case.
And 冰啤酒.
Excellent choice as well.
I'm glad that you've given me this good opportunity to talk about things I'm interested in. And I'm glad that so many of you have shown interest in these things, which I think are very touching and important. And I hope the result will be that you'll be particularly interested in what's happening in these places. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you very much. And that's an excellent way to bring us into kind of the next portion.
Yes.
I will talk less and she will talk more. And talking about Fuhan's journey and how she sort of had this orientation toward what you might think of as socially active approach to business as well as her life. I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Dinging, here now.
Yes, really. How did you get involved in this? I mean, in the beginning, I'd like to share with us a story that how did you become doing this kind of cross-cultural work, especially when it comes to bringing more understanding about China to the world?
How? I think I've been working for this for a long time. Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about Isabel, I talk about her ask me, can I take her home to Sichuan? Actually, I did that. Okay, I'm not answer your cultural question now, but I want to talk about I took Isabel to Sichuan. We did it. I made the dream happen this year, and in last month. Yes, last month. And we took a high-speed train. Wait a moment. I think Isabel. Yeah.
give us just 1 second. I think Isabel may want to go. Do you want to? Would you like to take off for a second? No problem. So she wants to take off for a minute? Okay. I think she does want to go. Okay. Guys, what we'll do, we'll take a quick 5-minute break. We'll let Isabel go out first, okay? And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
Quite an experience to be able to talk to you people.
We're really glad you joined us. Thank you so much.
It's a subject that I'm interested in, very much interested in. Yeah.
Thank you. So please give Isabel room to exit. And then we'll take about a 5-minute break, and you can use the restroom or grab a drink if you wish, and then we will resume, okay? We'll give a little bit of a warning to give everybody a chance. Thank you so much, because let her get out safely first.
It was an amazing night, right? It is now amazing night. Isabel climbed. Bookworm has no elevator. Isabel climbed here, okay, and climbed down. And she's 103 years old. She was going to be 104 soon. Okay, it's actually our dream together, because when I talked to Isabel, I said, I'm going to Bailuding. Will you spend your childhood there? And she said, will you take me? I don't know how to answer her. But that's a dream in my heart. So I continue to talk to her son, and that's Michael Crook said, 就是你，老是勾引奶奶。So finally, we made a trip last month, and her 3 sons, and she and阿姨. So you can tell the 阿姨 worked for her for her whole life. The 阿姨 is not young anymore, 50s, 60s, and her son. So I really took a old age tourism group.
Nice. Well, they're not here to hear that, so hopefully they don't mind.
And because that, I cut my hair. It's the first time I cut my hair in my life.
Why?
Because I have so much responsibility. I need to, take care of Isabel. I have to take care of everyone, and I have
No time for fashion.
Yeah.
No time for...
And I have to carry the camera. Finally, I bought a camera. And not to borrow a camera. Finally,
I went the other way. I'm just not cutting it and pulling it back. It's the same idea.
But you know what? From the first day when I talking to her, I said, we're planning going to Sichuan, and Isabel climb her stairs to her home every day, 3 times a day, and because she knows we're going to go to Bailuding, the mountain. The mountain is almost 2,000 meters high. And so that's a dream. I took her there, and she hugged me. She said, we made it. I was tearing really bad on the mountain. So the first day, we got the train tickets, and she was really excited. And she can't come down, and her son has to, take her to hospital to, get some pills and shots to calm her down, because this is really exciting. She never been out of Beijing for more than 20 years.
So you're taking her to go back to her home.
Oh,
that
no,
was her first.
No, actually, she went to Sichuan in 2004, I think. 2004. And my film talked about a little bit about her love story with David. And she actually went to Sichuan in 2004. That was probably in her 90s, right? And when she first
met David, they said to each other, okay, let's meet at the 大渡河 the 铁索桥 the bridge. Yeah, it's a revolution bridge. Every Chinese person know that. And in that time, no phone, and no clock, no time, and you know, no WeChat. And they set
What
up
did
a
you do
day.
before WeChat?
And they set up a day. Said, let's meet there, and they made it. And they fell in love, and they got married. Yeah, so that bridge is really her love. And I remember a couple of years ago, there is in south of Beijing, there was a place, you know, acting like the bridge, but it's steel. And a couple of years ago, she was 102, and we took her there. And she was getting really excited. She climbed on the steel and pretend to be the 铁索桥, and you can tell the love place in her heart is so it's so important for her. And after that, she went to Sichuan. She got really. She can't. Her son told me she can't walk. So she has a wheelchair. So at that time, after that, her family afraid to take her out of Beijing. So last month is the first trip for her to go to Sichuan, and we spent 8 hours on the high-speed train. And another thing is, I always travel by airplane. I didn't know the high-speed train, the two heads, is going this way, and you can't go through. So I bought a ticket, car number 8 for Isabel and her son. It's the first class or something, so she can lay down. And the rest of us, we bought the second class, which is car number 10. So I think 8 to 10, it's quite close, but can't go through.
And she was up there like a queen, laid back in those sleep dog seats, and you're back in steerage.
Yeah, and we didn't know that until I got on the train. Yeah, so I asked all the people to help. Well, but finally we made it, and it's an amazing trip. Yeah, for 103 years.
Definitely. So I'm sure a lot of our audience, including myself, are quite interested in what did you do? What did you do before meeting Isabel? Like, what was your little bit or cross-cultural background? Can you share with us a little bit?
Sure. First, I still want to start with Isabel because all I do. The documentary, just the first step, this is my heart for Isabel, and I know the heart, the friendship between me and Isabel. She's not just my grandma, she's also my friend, and I like to help. I always help, and I did the film. This is the first step. Actually, I connect with the local government. I said, look, Isabel, this is the senior foreign expert, a wonderful person, anthropologist, record China. You need to build a museum for her. And,
okay, so a museum is in the works? Yes?
Yeah, and so the local government said yes. Yeah. Okay, that's, I'm talking about I help people. And how I involve with the. So the next one, I want to tell how I help Mark. That's how I start the business. It's not a business, I mean. So Mark Levine is my same partner, and I was her agent. Yeah. And when he came to Beijing, maybe more than how many years ago? 12 years ago, yes. And he said, we met at the MUC, the Minzu University, the gate. And he asked the guards for help. And the guards can't speak English. And he asked me. And I always like to help people. But at that time, my English is not that good. I mean, my English now is very good. It's not perfect. But at that time, it's like...
It ain't bragging if you can do it, don't worry.
So I said, a little bit. Then he asked where is the international building. I was not the student in MUC, but I said, okay, but I live there. I always live there. So I said, maybe that building, let me just show you. So I guide her to the international building because it said international on the building. So I said, probably that one. What about you go there? And then that night, I got a blaming message from Mark. And he said, why you show me to the girls' dormitory?
I had a feeling. No, it was an accident, right? It was an accident. Where else would I take you?
So, and he said, okay, I'm leaving tomorrow night. What about you? I still got a whole day in Beijing. What about you show me around in Beijing? I said, okay, I can probably make it up, I arranged my things. I showed her to the Forbidden City and Tiananmen, and then become friends. Then after that, he come to Beijing and he teach in that university, and I know he started to write songs. He wrote 10 songs. So I still want to help. I said, okay, what about I take you to the studio to record the songs.
That was your idea, right?
Yeah, on your birthday. And so we can have a birthday party. Then we record the songs. He gave I asked my classmates from Renmin University, we handmade about 30 or 40 CD, handmade. Yeah, we spent the afternoon in the cafe. And then he gave away to the people who joined the party. Then still have some rest of the CD. I said, what about I help you to send to the music studio? See, any music studio want to sign you up so you can be a star in China. And so I helped him to send all the music, the CD, and no company answered that. So
I'm sure it's not a reflection in your life. It's just don't put it all. It's hard to kind of cold pitch a thing like that.
Talk to a few of them and tell them what they said. Payola.
Hey, now to be fair, we've heard a version of this from Mark, so this is very interesting. You listen to Mark's episode of our podcast, which is currently the one you go to our page. That's the episode that's currently there, and you can hear Mark's detailed story via these links. So please continue. This is very good. We're getting both sides of the story.
So I called every single company, and some people hung up my phone. I don't know what's going on. They're pretty angry, even without talking to me. So I called my teacher because my teacher has a friend is a big music company boss. So I gave my phone number to her, and she said, okay, I will let him call you. So we got on the phone, I explained, and he said, this guy named Mark, right? I said, yes. He said, he's not Chinese. I said, no. So he speak no Chinese. I said, yes. He can't sing any Chinese. I said, yes. Okay, he said, no,
Perfect.
No market in China. Okay, that's one. Second, is he young? It's pretty old. Okay, the third question,
No comment.
does he have money? Money, yeah. I said, he even has no guitar.
She's selling very well, right? So if you need representation, we got your gal right here, available after the show.
When was that? When was that, actually?
That's
Which year?
2008, early 8, end of 2007, I think.
2008. On my birthday.
Yeah.
February.
Okay. So I told Mark, your Chinese dream is broken. Well, this is a big music company boss. Okay, and he said, how about you be my agent? I said, what? The big company boss said no. Said this is definitely not. There is no market. And
What made you change your mind?
Remember, you said you didn't want to do it, and then something caused you to change your mind.
I know. I'm just.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions, but you just kind of keep on going here. So. Again, we are going to bring Mark up to get into this into detail later. We have other questions for you, so let's. We don't have to remember every piece right now.
So he kept asking me to be his agent. I said no, because I made pretty comfortable life. I was a piano teacher. I have my own method. I can combine English, games, and piano together. I'm better than other piano teachers because I can teach more, so I get more money. So I said no, and finally, that's the beginning of 2008. That's before the Olympic game, and I saw the TV. Said some, our torch, the torch in other countries being, stoned or, grabbed, and, it's not nice. So I think China, between the words, have a gap. Most of the people probably don't understand China very well, and so I was thinking. Mark, he wrote songs. In that time, he wrote probably 11 songs. But every single song is about his true life, true experiences in China. So I was thinking, okay, so this use the music to tell the true story. So probably, it's easy to people can accept and the people can listen and. Probably people can understand China better. So I think, okay, I'll do this job. I'll become your agent. So the first, a good thing, Mark paid.
That's a very important thing.
because
You might be able to see how her eyes lit up.
Because I can't have a regular teaching job. I can't teach, teaching the piano. Because you have to teach the kids every day, every month, every week. So, I don't know how to be an agent. I went to Renmin University, and our teacher told us to get the artist agent license, which everybody got, and now only me use it, and the rest of my classmates sold them. So, how to become agent? That's what we're talking about today, how China works. Okay, how China works, it's really how Chinese people work.
I'm listening.
Okay, I just want to use my story to tell everyone, and most of the people here who are deep in China probably is decades, more than 10 years, 20 years. There is a old China hand, Gilbert here, and So everybody, most of you guys are 中国通, but I just want to use my story to tell how China works. So I don't know how to be an agent, and I'm thinking. I can think, China words called 三思而后行. You think, then do it. Okay, before you do it, before you act, you think. So I have to think how to promote him in China.
Okay, the boss already said he's not young, he's not 小鲜肉, right? So,
young fresh meat for the non-Chinese speakers. And we're listening to this going, what did that lady say? Look it up.
okay, so I'm thinking first I have to make him stand out. It's not that beautiful, you know.
She's selling very well.
So I said, okay, first he needs a hat to cover. How do you call that? Bowling hat?
We call it wisdom.
She always calls it dinosaur head.
In English, it's a forehead. I have a 5 head.
But the problem is, Mark knows how to fight. And he rejects to put a hat on his head, on his dinosaur head. Okay? Because he said that, oh, this is the itch, this is the heart, whatever. So I had no money, but I went to the market, bought a lot of hats, so many different hats, and maybe 5 kwai per piece, maybe 8 kwai, yeah, I bought a lot. And, okay, he's from American cowboy. So I bought him a cowboy hat, and normally you can wear baseball hat. On the baseball hat, I have another idea. So, okay, so all the foreigners who come to China, you might think I have a Chinese name, but I'm thinking how to pronounce Mark Levine. You first don't give him a Chinese name to pretend to be a Chinese. Because you can't stand out, right? Second, but how to make his name? I'll just translate it, 马克利文. And I have another idea. I put 马克利文 on his head. So everybody know, oh, 马克利文, know his name. And so nobody call him, 马克思. So everybody know his name. Then he will feel good. How come this guy know my name? Probably I'm famous.
He said that when he came to record with us a few weeks ago, and he was saying, I was on my way up, and people were calling my name, and then I realized I'm wearing my name on my hat. I thought I'm more famous than I realized.
Yeah, so to make him feel good, you need to, both sides. You need to make an audience, Yeah, so how to work together. This is to show how to work together. And okay, so hat, and ask him to grow beard. Okay.
Oh, wait, you didn't have the beard?
I had a beard, but I always kept it trimmed.
Okay.
He wants to pretend he's young. Young as you.
I just trimmed this off. Anybody who's got the video or just a photo, and I'm not sure what you're saying, but I'm going to interpret that in a way that flatters me. I had a full beard, and it's all gray. What you don't where there's skin is it's all gray. And like about 2 weeks ago, I woke up and said, "Who's that old guy?" It's shaved most of it off.
So I want to make him stand out. So actually on the street, all the old men and wave to him. Oh, beautiful beard! Okay, the third thing, the logo is boots. But he rejected again, and we fight for being 1 year to put his boots on and to put the jeans in the boots, right?
It's inside.
Yeah. Yeah, because he said the cowboy, the real cowboy, doesn't look this way. I said whatever, but Chinese people want to see the boots.
Well, he's wearing like touch puppies tonight, so no boots.
Okay, yeah, finally it become this way. It's a lot of the struggle.
I had to get her permission tonight to not wear boots.
Pretty strict with Mark,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, so this is outside, this is the 形象, yeah. And the inside, how to promote him. I need to get him shows. But I have no experiences. Okay, I think that the thing the foreigners come to China is very important is find a smart working partner.
like me.
Very true. Good partners are important. Oh.
Yeah. Because you need to think how to do things and how to do things in Chinese way. Okay. And about the music, he always sing, every single song is different. He said, this is unique. In America, we sing this way. I said, no, you can't sing this. You have to sing like Chinese way. Okay. You have to follow the melody. Lots of fight. And how to get a show, that's very important. Give him opportunity to get on stage, to get the stage experiences, right? The first show I get is the 2008 the agent show. The agent show. Yeah, because I went to the agent school, I got a license, so we have all the agents together. So I said, okay, this is 2008. What about we organize a show? So I said, okay, Mark Levine is my client. He has to get on the stage. That's the first show. And the first show, you not just get on stage, you need fans. So I have to call his student to pretend to be fans.
Rent a crowd.
Yeah.
I'll avoid my U.S. political jokes right here. I'll just skip over that.
So from very first show, single show, we have, if we don't, before that, nobody know you, right? Nobody know you. You need to show up. You need the stage. So I looking for all the opportunities, any opportunities for him to get on stage. I went to the whole High Bar Street. I went to all the bars, talked to them, and finally, through a friend, said, okay, you can come to sing. And on the second floor, which is not too many audience, okay, we sing there pretty good, and we want to sing there again. And we went there, and the manager said no, on the phone. I said, okay, what about we go there? So I got Mark Levine, and he took the guitar. We went to the whole High Bar. I still remember the name, Jia Dingfang. And the manager said, no. So in December, the coldest Beijing weather, he didn't let us get in. And I continue to talk to him. And finally, after that, we become friends. Every time I film anything, any documentary of Mark, the TV wants to do that, and I set up shows, I use his bar and for free. So
There were a lot of no's.
Yeah, so that's how Chinese people work, is never give up. And when you don't give up, other people will help you. Okay, so I continue. So he didn't let us go get in, but then finally we become friends. Okay, this is just one sample to get shows. I worked in the pretty cold Beijing weather, looking for the signs that, okay, this is a Beida, some international festival. Okay, I called the Beida, their phone, to, I said, I introduced Mark, I said, what about he get on stage? So every single show, I started looking for that everywhere for him to get on stage.
You traveled with Mark all over China, right?
That's after.
That's after.
Okay, that's after when people know him, get to know him, and more opportunity come to looking for me,
Right.
okay, looking for us, and so we get shows. Now we've been, I think traveled more than 23 provinces, and I've been organized more than 300 big shows, small shows. Okay.
It's unbelievable. We only have limited time, so I want to ask you a few other questions, and then we're going to bring Mark up in here a little bit more from the man himself.
So I assume there might be a lot of conflicts when you try to, get these things done this time. But like when you're dealing with people, like bring Mark to local people, right? So you kind of want. You have to deal with government, you have to deal with the local stakeholders like the musician, other agents, right? what was the biggest challenge for you when you were trying to really get things, because you had to deal with multiple communities from very different cultural background here in China? Do you have a story to share?
I have lots of stories because I'm not just to deal with Mark, I have to deal with all kinds of people. As you said, government people, organizer, and people from different countries. I think, I know. I think the first thing, you have to be honest, okay? You have to be honest yourself, and you have to act quick, okay? So the very important show I got for Mark is the 2009 Zhangjiajie International Country Music Week. And the people come from 600 musicians come from 22 different countries to Zhangjiajie. And I got this information online, they were held it, and I called them, they said, no, it's all already booked. Okay, every musician we booked from the embassy and the culture department. And I keep calling them, and they said, how about you come to work with us?
Free?
You were so persistent. So let me just put a pin in this. So what you were saying, so they were, through relationships they had, they already had their slate. And so that's part of the thing, is to make those relationships. You have to have those relationships.
Yes. So work for free. You need to work for free first, and then you can get something, So I said, I can come here to do volunteer, but I want Mark Levine to get on this show. And they said, okay. So I went there. I deal with all kinds of things, all kinds of everything. And
what did they need you most at the time, for that period of time, 2009?
To solve the problem between Chinese people with other foreign musicians, and because the language, first is the language, second is the culture, so different. So and also get sponsors, all kinds of things. I work day and night, and I remember there is a African group about 40 musicians. And they first get to Zhangjiajie, and because it's the first music group, so all the media went to the airport to greet them, and they feel really good. And the second day, because they're too early, so we sent them to the tourism part, like the park on the mountain, and all the African musicians sit by the door, by the gate, and don't move. And the local people are really scared. Because they never, in Zhangjiajie, this is the mountain area. The local people didn't see foreigners, and the special, 40 Africans. And so they really scared, and they called us. And they don't know what to do. I said, what's going on? And they said, probably the first day the media was there, and they asked, where is the media? Where is the cameraman? I said, okay, I'll be the camera woman today. Then I carried my camera, and I went there, I talked to them. I said, okay, today I'm coming here to film you, and I will give all the materials to you.
Why they were actually sitting there in front of the door at the tourism spot? Why?
Because there is nowhere to sit.
Because they arrived earlier?
Because we send them to the tourism, to the mountain, the Jingqu, the tourism park, and they don't want to get in because they didn't see any cameraman.
They want to see the
cameraman? Yeah. They want the media to come. So all kinds of problems, like the German musicians come here. They said they're not singing. They're not going to get on stage. Ask why, and because the organizer said will provide the music, the instrument to you. But actually, they didn't provide the instrument. Okay, so the German musicians said, okay, there is no instrument, we can't get on stage. So, but you need to get on stage. So I called all the music instrument factory. Okay, I called the boss and said, okay, you need to sponsor the instruments. Yeah. So I got the sponsors and also make the musicians, the German musicians, happy, and also the event going smooth. So all kinds of things.
You just you need to be honest and you need to work on it. Okay. Yeah.
Well, we will bring up Mr. Mark Levine now for a little bit of a chat, and so please take my seat. Now, I am going to give you my mic, which basically means, in theory, we'll ask you questions, but you'll probably talk amongst yourselves. Let me start by saying we'll take a few minutes here, or you can do that too.
All right.
We'll take a few minutes, and again, Mark's episode, as I've said, is on this current How China Works. You can hear his side of some of this, but it syncs up pretty well with what she said. So, Mark, what has been your experience working with Fuhan? Tell the folks here what that's been like for you.
Unlike anything I've ever done before. On the one hand, everything she said is true. And from the conflict to the progress. And part of what happens is there's one particular show that that she put together. I participated in, but she's the one that organized the show. She conceived of it. It's a show called actually what happened is in 2013, Fuhan went from being an agent and a friend to being a musical partner. Because I play guitar, she plays erhu. One of our points of conflict had been, I want you on stage with me. And her position was, I don't want to go on stage. So with the assistance of her father, who said, you need to join Mark on stage, she finally agreed. And since 2013, sometimes I perform by myself, but a lot of times, more often than not, we perform together. And we perform a variety of different things. So that was one point of conflict. But once that began, she conceived of a show called Fuhan, Mark Levine, and the story of Inside Out. Inside Out is the English name of our musical duo. And what is the Chinese name?
秀外慧中，它是外，我是中。
Really like the name.
Okay, so, and this tells the story. It tells the story of her and I, and we deal with our background and where we came from and how we met, and deal with how we came to play together. And it deals with all of the many, many disagreements that we had. And the basic theme that runs through it is, despite those disagreements, because of mutual respect for each other and mutual respect for each other's culture and traditions, we have been able to create some things that otherwise wouldn't have existed before. Let me just do a little thing here. These are here. This tells the story. All right, this tells the story of my experience with a really, really big section on Fuhan. So I published this in 2014. There are only 3 copies available, and they're all available here. The rest have been sold out. This Chinese version exists, lots of copies that are on the shelf out there if anybody wants a Chinese one. And I'm currently working on another one that will include some of this same material. But so some of that story is here. But when I wrote this, there was no way that I could not spend a tremendous, tremendous amount of time talking about my experience and work with Fuhan. And part of what I indicate is that nothing in my life would look like it does today if it were not for Fuhan.
Well, another thing, I think most of the foreign friends come here to wondering how to get a Chinese green card. Because Mark gets a Chinese green card. And,
which I also have to attribute to her, yes.
Would you like to share with us a little bit what is the key of making
Actually,
that
what happened
happen?
was I won the National Friendship Award in 2014, and that was based on Fu Han helping to put me in places and situations and giving me experience that caused me to become identified and recognized through that. And at the time that I received that in 2014, the award ceremony featured the premier, Li Keqiang, making a big announcement that he wanted the regulations for green cards to change, and that one eligibility category was now going to be Friendship Award recipients. And it wasn't an automatic process. It took a good deal of fighting and pushing and basically pushing the government to be able to do that. And that was, I had to do some of that. She had to do a tremendous amount of that. And
yeah, I remember that you've been nominated by your school for 4 years. So every year I have to prepare this kind of big boxes of materials, documents. Yeah.
She put it together, all the materials. It's objectively, it's the nominating party's responsibility, but she knew me better than anybody. So
and
she was
every year, only 50 Friendship Award winner from 1 million foreign experts in China.
So it's even rarer than a green card.
Yeah.
It's extremely rare.
Yeah, it's so you have to think how to deal with the government. What does the government like, and what to prepare for them. And well, this is other story. Probably we don't have time to talk about today. But I'm not just deal with Mark, and now I'm working for. I have other 2 called charity or NGO. One is Global Talent. Today I have colleagues here, and we help foreigners in China. Okay, Global Talent we supported by Sophia, by the government, and now we worked for more than 1 year to any foreigners want to start your own business in China, we can help for free. We can get an address for free, and we can help you to set up the business. Okay, so this is a very good opportunity because I've been working on this for years.
We talked a little bit. We won't digress. She and I talked a little quick bit about this before, and so after we're done, we'll have audience questions here in a moment, and then they're going to play a couple of songs, and then we'll be around having drinks. So if you want to talk to Fu Han or her colleagues, please do that once we're done with the program.
You have something else you want to know?
I want one last question for Ms. Fu Han. Give us 3 words or keywords, key phrases for our audience, everyone audience here. Like, what would be the 3 keywords for you to give to our audience to help them to become someone like you, like cross-cultural enablers, to be really to build the bridges, especially at this moment when the world is shifting so much and when there's a lot of movement over there. And I would like to hear your biggest 3 keywords for your advice to every one of us.
For foreigners, I want to say, come to China, stay, and work, and don't need to try to fit in because you never.
I like how she looked at
Be yourself. The answer is be
You guys catch that little
yourself.
side eye?
You know why?
Okay.
Because Chinese people, we judge people by face. Okay, so you
Totally haven't noticed.
foreigner.
Oh, yeah.
And you can work here, and you should find your goal, your life goal here, and match Chinese speech. China growing very fast and developing very, very fast. Even our young generation, sometimes we can't catch up. Some country developing through wars, but China, we
She's
really.
also looking at the American, that is.
But China, for these 40 years opening up, we're really developing really quick, really fast. Okay, before I was born, my father told me they have little money, and when they buy things, they have to use some tickets to buy things. Special coupon.
Right?
Yeah. So I know lots of foreigners come to China. My suggestion is one, find a Chinese partner. Okay, this is very important because he or she knows how the Chinese way to work. China is big. You have to deal with North China people, Southern China people. Southern China people like drink tea. Northern China people like drink wine. How do you deal with people drink wine, and how do you deal with people drink tea? Or some people like both.
Can I tell one story?
Yeah.
One story. Many years ago, I was invited to sing at an event called the Beijing Villa Festival. And these were developers. It was an award banquet for developers of big housing developments. And I was there to sing, and I'm sitting at the main table, and the man right next to me was the recipient of many awards. And he spoke no Chinese, he spoke no English, I spoke no Chinese. And a few months later, he contacts Fuhan. He had built this community called Second Home between Nanjing and Yangzhou in Jiangsu province. And he had already built 1,000 homes. And he called Fuhan and said, we're going to build 500 more. We're going to build a big hotel that the Sheraton is going to manage. And we just signed a contract with the Jack Nicklaus Golf Development Company. And we're going to have a press conference. And we'd like Mark to come and sing. So he says, ask him to give me a good price. So she tells me this. And I'm thinking, and I say, how about if we just tell him, I'll come as a friend. And she said, okay, that's a good thing. And then I said, but you have to tell him I'm expecting him to pay for transportation and hotel. And she says, no, I refuse to do that. I said, you have to do that. She says, no, he knows that already. You said you're coming as a friend. And I said, absolutely, in the United States, if it's not all written in the contract, you can't count on anything. And she said, no, you will offend him. And finally, she didn't get me to agree, but she got me to shut up. So what happened was, she told him that, and 2 days later, his secretary called. His secretary called and says, tell us your flight information, and we will buy the tickets for you. So she was right. I had no conception that this is the way that things would be done. And I have a number of friends in entertainment fields, and a lot of times they speak wonderful Chinese, and they think that they can represent themselves. But the fact is, they can't. Because one, people don't speak to them the same way, and two, these particular cultural particularities they're not familiar with. Okay, and this happened when Fuhan was very, very inexperienced as an agent. She just knew that not as an agent, she just knew it as a Chinese person.
Well, there's a million ways to understand how China works, and today's episode taught me at least a lot of things, including friendship, cultural intelligence, and being yourself. There's so much more to learn, but time is so limited. We want to give one more time applause to Fuhan and Mark. Thank you so much for being here, sharing this story with us.
We have time for a couple of audience questions, and then we will ask you the prize. So please hold any last thoughts. Does anyone have any questions? I'll run the mic to you. Okay, back here in the back. One second. Oh, look at that. All right.
Not a question, Fuhan. I'd just like to congratulate you on your movie and Mark's cooperation, and meeting Isabel and the night was an experience. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to help more, so all the friends who come here, I really appreciate. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? David's got the mic there.
Oh, thank you. I would like to thank you, Fuhan, for telling a super inspiring story. I remember the other day I was watching an online short video about a guy eat 50 packs of Korean spicy noodles. And at the same day, I watched a girl had this 20 minutes video about her talking about people judging her. And I was thinking, wow, this is a today people are have all these worries, and today and now I just watched this amazing life stories from a 104 years old lady that was super inspiring. Sometimes we wonder, why do we live? Is life worth living? And from this film, I was really I'm speechless. And thank you very much for telling her story. It means a lot. And thanks for Brendan and Ying for telling Fuhan's story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think for another suggestion is for foreign, not just foreign friends come to China, also Chinese people. I think for our life is short. We need to do something meaningful. Okay, do something really worth something. Okay. Yeah.
We're all back in something.
Next question. A brief question for Fuhan. So, as a friend of Isabel, what's the most admirable qualities of human as you see in Isabel during the past years that you know her, and also what impressed you the most by Isabel in your life? Thank you.
I'm her friend, and Isabel is a great woman, and she is an educator in Beijing, and all our English teachers or whatever from Beijing, and she is very 乐观. Her English name is Isabel Joy Brown. Okay, before her marriage, Joy. She is really joy. Really happy, and yeah, joy. Yes.
It's very happy.
Mm-hmm. Through her life in China, I think she must have faced tremendous difficulty times. For example, the Cultural Revolution, lots of things. And in that time, he sometimes has no food, in the old days. Now we are very lucky. We were born. Now we have food everywhere, never starving. But in her life, she faced so many difficulties, but she is still joy. She is still happy.
On the yellow poster, that was the one where you signed up for the event, probably, unless you walked in. This QR code within the cycle. There's some documents on there that detail a bit of her, and then there's a link at the bottom. I linked this website, Isabel's website, and when you realize, yes, all the things that we have all heard about the history of the last 100 years of China, she was here, except for like a brief time back in Canada. She was here. It's just unbelievable.
That's the questions done? I thought you said one more. Okay.
Any more questions?
And she recorded so many pictures, which China, in the old days, we don't have cameras.
There's some photos.
Yeah, you can pass around.
She took.
Yeah, I took
some
old
photos.
pictures to
Print it out.
Sichuan. You can pass around all her part of some of her pictures. This is in Hanyuan and Lixian. I just came back from Lixian, which she did her first anthropology research in the Tibetan area. I came back yesterday morning. Yeah, I went there and I find out the friendship. That's why I talk about foreign friends come to China, you need to find a Chinese friend. In that days, Isabel lived in a local, they call it a Rongren, the Tibetan farmer home. And their friendship lasted 80 years. And when I went there, the old lady now is 90 years old. And she told me, when Isabel went there, Isabel was 23, she taught her a song.
Don't tell him the song yet.
Oh, okay.
Don't tell him the song yet.
But the interesting thing is, Isabel took a photo of that lady's, the husband, and I showed the picture to that old lady, and she can't recognize the husband, but she still remember the song Isabel taught her, and she was the same with me, and it's just a friendship,
Okay, we have time, and by the way, I misspoke because we changed the poster. HowChinaWorksPodcast.com, our website, there's an event page. We actually changed this, that code links to the Bookworm page. So if you go to HowChinaWorksPodcast.com and find the event page for this, you will find this great link to more information on Isabel. Now we probably have time for one more audience question, then a few closing comments here, and then some music, and then we can have some more conversation outside. This young lady looks very... She's ready.
Hi. We all know that the relationship between China and America right now is not going very well. But in this very room, I saw some kind of harmony. So I want to ask you, Mark and Wuhan, so what are your opinions about the situation right now, and what's your expectations about countries? Thank you.
You or me? Okay, I consider because the trade war, and I understand very much because I'm now in the aviation business. This is really affect the business, but I think people are in common. Okay, people in United States and in China, whatever in the world, we have the common emotion. We have laugh, we have, we cry, we are people, okay? And sometimes you just deal with people different ways, but we're in common. That's very important.
Okay, so I have long admired China's patience. And I think much is to be advanced. There's an old expression that says, never argue with a fool, because sooner or later, no one will be able to tell the difference. And I think China is very wise by trying to avoid arguing. Okay? So, let me have one last thing, and then we can go to some music. Fuhan indicated that one of the things when she started being my agent was that I paid her. Well, that's absolutely true. Unfortunately, what I have paid her will never match up to what she's paid me, which has nothing to do with money. But the work that she has done for me, the friendship, the assistance, the opportunities, the doors that she's helped to open for me, I can't imagine ever putting a dollar and RMB amount on that, and whatever it is would never be sufficient to be able to pay her back for all of that she's done to me, done for me. And thank you.
And thank you. Be so appreciated. And you know what? I actually learned something from foreign friends. From Mark, from different foreign friends. That's attitude. Okay, in China, our parents always say life is short and difficult. 人生苦短. Okay, everything is so difficult. Everything is 苦. This is Buddhist style. But my foreign friends, like Isabel, like all the people, This is the life is a process. You have to enjoy it. Okay, enjoying every moment.
Thank you very much. So we would like to they're going to grab their instruments and we will be treated to a couple of songs. Don't go anywhere.
Would you like to explain?
I think I will be,
let me explain one thing and then she can explain more.
We'll bring these chairs over here. Do you have can the boom mic work, David?
Yep.
I don't have to do this, great.
There you go.
Yeah, Mark, you stand or sit?
Stand.
Okay.
Stand. Okay, so what we're going to do is two things. And these are things that generally we don't do. But in honor of the occasion, we're going to do these two things. The first one, all of the Chinese people will know. And we'd like to ask everyone to sing, because this is something, although I can sing a lot of Chinese songs, this is not one of those. And then the second one, Fuhan will finish the story about the 9-year-old girl that Isabel taught a song to. Isabel, we're going to do that brief rendition of that. All right, this side of the room, Fuhan's side of the room. Here, we'll start. We're going to sing it the way it's traditionally sung, as a round, right? Everybody know what that is? Where one group starts and then another group starts. Okay, so we start. Row, row, row your boat, gently down the stream.
wonderful to see everybody here and stay so late with us. And it's a truly meaningful night for every one of us. I hope this memory lasts. We hope to see many more people like Fuhan and Isabel, and many more stories like them to be able to shine in any country in the world at this moment. This is the true meaning of the work we do as a cross-cultural bridge. We truly honor that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you everybody. Thank you.
Have some fun, drinks.